Hello everyone, this is Eric from Execute for another live stream for teachers. And this time I am early. I think last week I was a minute late, but this time I made sure to be early. And today we've got a great show for you. Today I'm having a friend on, another teacher. His name's Ben. He also has a YouTube channel, and we're going to talk. And if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, please put it in the comments below. If you're there, guys, just say what your name is, say where you're from, and we can. I'll invite Ben in a couple of minutes, and then we'll get started. Yeah, it's been an interesting week. I've been working very hard. I've been shooting a lot of videos. Fatih, hi. We've got our first viewer today. Fatih, hi from Turkey. Merhaba, it's good to see you. We've had a really good Turkish community here too. I've got lots of good friends too. And then another Indonesian too. Hi, Indonesia. And then next to Indonesia, we've got Q King. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Rosita, how are you doing? How is it? Apa kabar? To you too, Q King. How are you guys doing? Yeah, in a couple of minutes, I will introduce Ben, and he's got a YouTube channel too. He's a really good teacher. He speaks really well. I think you guys will learn a lot from him. And he's going to share a couple of great apps websites that he's been using for his online teaching. And he'll explain those to us and how he used it in the classroom. For me, busy week. I've been Lubna, hi, from Morocco. Good to have you here. Bye, Rosita, hi. And then Lakshida from Sri Lanka, hi, welcome. Yeah, so I've been very busy this week. I've been shooting lots of videos, and I'm going to shoot 4 new videos for you. I've shot one on English instructions, many classroom instructions for English teachers. Many teachers have asked me for that. I've already shot that one. I'll probably edit it on Wednesday. And on Tuesday, I will shoot 3 more videos for you. So I've got a lot of videos coming out this Tuesday. A new video will come out, 10 vocabulary exercises. I'm sure you'll like that. Lubna says, hi, Grace. Nice to have you here. Good to have you also from Korea. Jalchineso, are you well? And then we've got Letty. Hi, Letty. How are you doing? Okay, well, I've been talking for too long, everyone. So if you have any questions for me or Ben, or any questions about teaching in general, you can ask us. But most of the time, Ben will introduce the websites to us, and we'll talk from there. If you have any questions about teaching or these websites, please let us know. And let's get started. 3, 2, 1, and Ben, hi.
Hello, everybody. How are you today? Wonderful to be on the channel. I love being here, and it's awesome to see all of the people lining up and saying hello. So greetings from South Korea. It is wonderful to be here, and Eric, of course, as always, it is a great pleasure to see you every time I get to see it. It's always
every time it's nice to see you. I've had you on only once. It's such a shame. I know everybody really enjoys doing that. Well, we've got Anna here. Hi, Anna, one of our favorite viewers, and she's been on here for a while. She's one of our favorite videos. Anna, I hope you're doing well. We've got Lubna asking a few questions. So before we get started with that, let me first ask you, how are you doing, Ben?
Like you, busy weekend. You know, my family keeps me busy here. It's been a joy, and it's also exhausting. So I suspect that shortly after this live feed, I'm going to go to bed. But yeah, it's just it's been nice weekend, nice vacation, generally speaking. Anyway,
the weather's much better too. The weather's so nice. I went hiking yesterday. By the way, guys, if you haven't, I usually post everything on my Instagram stories. If you'd like to see what I'm up to, so you can follow me there. And first, Walberto from Brazil. Hi, how are you doing? And then we've got our first question here from Lubna. She says,
Right.
"Show us tips, please." I've got lots of tips videos. I've got a playlist of 100 teacher tips. Annie, hi, great to see you. And here, Lubna's question, I'm going to pass on to you, Ben.
Right.
How do you engage teens? How do you engage teen students?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that one of the things that you can do to engage them is to start where they are, right? Wherever their headspace is, that's where you can begin to build those relationships. Teenagers are very, very fickle, as you well know. And if we just come into the classroom and say, okay, we're going to talk about this in the book today, and nothing, you're not going to get anything that way. So the first thing that I would recommend is, number one, build relationships with your teen students. And secondly, it kind of works together, is start where they are. So, for example, these days, a lot of people around the world are very tech focused. They play games. They're on their phones. They're on Instagram. They play online phone games, PUBG, all of these things, right? That's part of their world. Now, if you as a teacher go in and say, who's got a PUBG account? You've got a, great. You know what? I've got a PUBG account too. Just make one up. Just make a PUBG account. Go online, play for 5 minutes and figure out how it is, because then you're going to have something to engage that student with, right? So that's just one example, of course. That's just one example. And I suspect that you're going to have every region in the world is going to have those different types of connection points, but that's the way that you can really do it, for sure.
Yeah, I think it also connects where you said start where they are. You know, Rosita asks here how to make our classes more interesting without playing games. And I think, you don't necessarily have to play games, but
No.
you know, having reaching teen students or making class interesting, it's all about engaging your students. And they like, if you can reach them where they understand and they're interested in the topic, or the way that you ask them questions, you make it about them, they'll have a lot of fun time. So without playing games, you know, once you do a topic, start talking about how that topic affects their lives, like use examples from their lives, right? So that's something you can do without playing games. But you definitely have to focus on your students. Okay, well, I think we've got Elsa here and my dad. They also here from Goose Bay, and that's me. Okay, well, Ben, I'd like you to. So you told me about some websites and apps that you have. What kind of website? Can you tell us about these websites that you've been using?
So if you are a teacher, or if you want to become a teacher, of course, with coronavirus all over the world and countries dealing with that in different ways, it really does have an effect on the classroom. And one of the things I have struggled with, and I'll be honest about this, one of the things I've struggled with was, how can I take the classroom English and have it outside the classroom? Korea is one of those places where English does not really exist much outside of the learning classroom. And I wanted to change that. And so rather than just giving them textbook work, which, as we all know, is boring, students don't want to do that. I mean, really, let's be honest, right? And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to engage the homework material in a way that didn't seem like they were doing homework. And I have two sites for you. I think, Eric, you're going to put the links down into the channel. So
Yeah, let's start with the
at
first
some
one, and
point.
I'll put in the links for the website as soon as they come up.
Awesome. Okay. So the first one is called Storyboard That. Storyboard That. This is, man, I can't tell you how good this little program is. It's an online app. You'd use it right in your browser, and it is phenomenal. Now, let me just give you a 30-second rundown of what this program means. When the students log in, there is a free version and a pay version. Don't buy the pay version. You don't need to, because the free version is plenty good enough for a student's work.
Yeah, I've put the link in the description below, and
Awesome.
I also looked at it. I saw somebody made a video about it, and it's the free version has everything you need.
Yep.
Yeah.
I made a video too. It's on my YouTube channel. Check it out.
Nice. I'll put it in the description. You should send it to me. By the way, in the description of this video on YouTube, you will see Ben's channel, and I'll add that video a little bit later too.
Right. So basically what this is, it's a comic book strip creator. And you have all sorts of different characters and poses. It's two-dimensional. It's not three-dimensional. But you can create depth of field in your comic book, and you've got 6 frames. 6 frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which for a homework assignment is perfect. It's great. And they have lots of options on speech bubbles, on creating conversation between different animated characters in the frame. They have lots of backgrounds and surroundings. So, for example, let's say I'm doing a cooking episode, right? I'm teaching about cooking or food. What I can do then is I can go to the students in the classroom. I can explain the homework assignment. I want you to create a conversation between 2 cooks in a kitchen. Here's the program. Go into this app and build a conversation between these 2 cooks about dinner time. And then the students have to just go in, blah, blah, blah. Then the students send you the link of their work right to your email. Boom. I check it out. I look for grammar, send comments right back. Bing, bang, boom. Homework's done. Okay. They have a blast doing it for sure.
Yeah, I can definitely see the way I see it, right, is that there are a few ways to actually use this. It looks, there's so many ways to use it. So this is basically a website where you design cartoons, and it's got 6 frames, right? And it's so easy to use. So you pick a background and you put in characters and you put in speech bubbles. But and the students enjoy doing it, especially if you're a teacher that's not perhaps very creative or good at drawing like me. I'm horrible, but so even I can use it. It's very useful. And then there are a few ways to use this. Like you said, you can tell the students to go create their own ones for homework. That's very easy. And you can also, if they do a role play, a lot of students feel very self-conscious when they have to do a role play and speak. But if you have these characters that they've created, and they are only speaking for these characters, they can make like their own sketch, basically what they're doing.
That's
another way to do it is you send them this cartoon basically, and they have to create a conversation for what's happening. So you can put in the different characters, the background, so they can imagine what's going on, and they can create a conversation, and then they have the conversation. But I mean, there are so many unique ways to do it. Absolutely. I think by the way, guys, I think there's something wrong with the messaging. Give me 1 second. I think I need to go on to I'm quickly going to get my phone, because on this app I can't see the messages anymore. I think I need to go to YouTube. So if I'm not showing your messages, this is the last one I've seen almost 5 minutes ago. So someone send me a message if it's not there. Okay. And so Ben, are there any other ways that you've used this this website, or Kezia's
there we
here.
go.
Okay, no, it's working. Okay, it's working.
Maybe they were just so interested in what I was saying that they stopped asking questions.
Yeah, guys, by the way, this is Ben, if you've just joined, and he's telling us about some apps. He's also got a website, a YouTube channel called Be.the.revolution. I'll put the link is in the description already on YouTube. Mrs. Abiola, hi. Yeah, we've got Ben on today. And so Ben, tell us, guys, if you have any questions, put it in the comments below. Ben, so tell me, how did you use this in your classroom, the storyboard that?
Well, I did it. I used it differently for different levels of students. For example, in my beginner book, in my beginner student level, what I did was I used it as a language reinforcement tool. And what I mean by that is that when the students learned something in the class, they were then to extend that language into their homework assignment by trying to make sure, essentially, that they understood what it was that I was trying to, that we were trying to deal with in the classroom. So it was a way for them to recall the information. At the same time, I'm able to check to make sure that they understand. So it does two things simultaneously: their understanding, and I can check to make sure that they have a grasp of the topic, linguistically speaking. So
okay.
Yeah, so that's one way that I used it.
My mom says hi to Ben and Eric.
Yes.
So the thing is, what I like about this is I haven't used it in my classes, but as a teacher, as soon as you see something come up, you kind of think, how can I use this for my class? How would I implement it? And that also changes after time. We've got Martin here too from ELT Experiences. Martin, I really enjoyed your video yesterday. I watched it today a little bit late. He made a video on why he's also a YouTuber, and he made a video on why teachers should use YouTube, or how to use YouTube, which was interesting.
Very good.
Since the three of us do it. Okay, so so what I like about this is that it kind of, the students love being creative.
Yeah.
And at first, when they initially use this, they're going to be like, oh, it feels new, and how do I do it? But as soon as they start creating, putting those backgrounds on, picking the characters, you can change the characters' colors, you can add objects, you can search for them. It will link your video on how to use it to there.
Right.
And then, so because they are creative, they're busy creating something, they'll be more invested, and they'll enjoy coming back to your class because you do these kinds of things with them. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, the other thing that I've done, and by the way, Mrs. Abuela, thank you for the comment. Hello, good afternoon to you as well. One of the things that I did was I picked one or two of the fairly decent ones that were, they obviously, the students invested time and effort in putting them together. And I would just say, hey, do you mind if I show this to you, to the class? I just want to use this as an example. Is that okay? And usually they're like, sometimes they're a little bit iffy on that. It's like, it's okay. Nobody's going to laugh at your work. You did a great job, and you're getting support from me. So they're like, okay, go ahead. So I would show the example basically as a rubric, essentially as a rubric, so that the next time I do the activity, the students are going to have a picture in their mind of what my expectation is. And then they can go, and generally speaking, the second one is usually better.
Yeah. Because they've got an idea, they've got something to work towards. But I think we can, that's a great teaching tip in general, where when students are creating something that, when they're creating something, and you say, okay, listen, guys, this is really good. So first of all, that those students are going to be they're going to be so happy that you use them as an example, and you give them credit for what they're doing. The other thing is, so what did I want to say? Okay, so you're using them as an example. They're going to be really proud of that, especially in Korea, where the culture is the students don't actually, they are very modest. You know, even though you do great work, you don't show other students, and students are kind of shy to put themselves out like that. But there's an exception if they create some kind of work, if it's art, if it's creating something like this. And the great thing is, you know, students are going to be creative in different ways. Some are going to make a great storyboard. Others are going to make it funny or interesting. Everybody's got a way to do it. And then for you to show, listen, guys, this is what I think is good. It also gives them something to work towards. And I think that's a great tip for anything really. You know, if it's just easy for them to do it with a storyboard then.
Yeah. And the other thing too is when you get a beginner student who, and I've had this in my class, as I'm sure you have too, Eric, you've got students who quite literally will not talk for 16 weeks. Like they just will. It's not that they're lazy. They just don't talk. They are so utterly uncomfortable. And there have been times in my class when suddenly this activity comes in and they have just shone so brightly in their creative capacity. And then those are the ones that I'm going to put up on the board. It's like, dude, you did an awesome job. And I recognize that English is very difficult. I recognize that you are anxious and nervous about speaking English, but you did a fantastic job. Thumbs up for you. You know, it's another way of reaching out into those students and saying, you know what? I know speaking is hard. It's okay. You're only here for 15 weeks. I'm going to give you as much praise as possible for the work that you do, regardless of what else has gone on. So it's a good way of doing that.
That's so nice of you. I mean, that is our role too. You know, we're not just teachers, but we're also motivators, you know, and we're trying to help and reach these students in all these different ways. And I think like before I said that the students are creative in different ways. We as teachers have to find different ways to praise our students, you know. That's so right. if you've got those A+ students, you know, they're always going to do great work, and you're going to motivate them, you're going to push them, you're going to praise them, obviously, in a smart way, but also, you know, your students that are in the middle of the pack, they're going to have something unique that you can praise them for. So definitely really good. I want to quickly go to this question from Martin. He says, what's Ben's opinion on English as a lingua franca?
You did tell me today, Eric, that you weren't going to throw me the hard questions, right?
Well, that's what I do with everyone, and I think my viewers know this. As soon as I have someone on, I'm like, I get a difficult question, I'm like, bing, and then that gives me time to think and, you know, steal your answer afterwards. So there you go, your first tough one.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things that I would say about English as lingua franca, and that is that it's already been created as the lingua franca. First of all, it's not something that we have to think about putting into a policy or a procedure. It's kind of already there. And this goes back to the United Nations. I think it was in 1992. You can check the dates because I'm not entirely sure, but it was in the early 90s where the United Nations did say that English was going to become the official kind of universal language. And now, what do I think of that? Well, obviously, as an English teacher, that's good for me because that means I have a job. However, on the flip side, English is not the number 1 spoken language in the world. I believe it's either Chinese or Spanish that is actually the number 1. You're going to have to check me on the Spanish thing, but I do know that Spanish is right up there. So if we're looking at languages by numeric value, English is not enough. English is not a numerically high language in the world, which puts it in a strange environment.
what I'd like to know is, with English, okay, it's not the first language, but how many second language speakers are there? And that's where the strength comes in, because I think the majority of English speakers they're not going to speak with a native. But if you're working for a company and you're from France and you're working with someone from Yajaira from Costa Rica, so you're in France and you're talking to someone Yajaira in Costa Rica, you're most likely going to revert to English, and you're going to communicate in English, writing or speaking. So I think that's where the strength comes, that we need a language like that. And I think Hollywood has is a big reason for that. With Hollywood and movies coming out and TV shows, the majority being in English, which really makes it easier for people to learn.
I would also say you're right about that. That culture has an excellent inroad into the language. But what's really interesting, if we look back to 1992 and the United Nations, what happens if the United Nations said that Spanish was going to be the lingua franca and not English? It means that we would have a large number of second language Spanish speakers right now in the world in the same way that we do. So it's almost as though the language itself didn't really matter. It's which one they wanted to put out the most. I would also add, just very quickly, that it may very well be, and this could be a weird point to consider, but English is primarily a Western cultured language, and we also have a predominantly Westernized culture in the world in many places. And because of the kind of historical cultural background of English language, particularly kind of spreading out through colonization in India, in South Africa, in all of these places around the world, because of that background, that historical background, that may very well be another reason why it was chosen. That's just a historical guess, though. That's a guess on my part.
Well, you said, 1992, if it was Spanish, for example, then there would obviously be more Spanish second language speakers. But I think even, let's say before that, even, in the early 1900s, the majority of second language English, there were so many English speakers already. Obviously it's increased, but yeah, that's a good one. And Martin says here, great explanation. And then we've got Susan said something nice here. She said, I think we can also use storyboard that to let students plan their English composition. Thanks, Emil. And she says they can draft it in their writing plans using that. So you've been using it for speaking and writing mostly?
Mostly in speaking, but boy, I actually, Susan, I really like the idea of using it as a way of planning out their, let's say they're doing a presentation. They could use storyboard that to actually plan out their conversation. Where am I going to stand in the room when I'm doing my presentation? That's in frame 2. I'm going to stand here. Right. So it's almost like you are able to use that in the same capacity that a director of a movie uses 2D drawings to map out the shots of a movie. They are doing that for their own work. And that is an excellent way of utilizing that beforehand. And then, Susan, I'm going to add one more. You use storyboard that at the beginning, they make their plans, then they do their presentation, then they do another storyboard that as a way of explaining what it is that they have just done.
Yeah,
so
I think
you can bookend
for writing, for example, if a lot of students struggle to come up with ideas. So what you could do is you could ask them to make a storyboard that for it, for the story first, so that they know what's going to happen during the story, and then they go and write it, and they've got an idea of how the story should progress. And also, you can give it to students and tell them to write different conversations for each scene, and they have to explain what's happening in each scene. So you can do it for a lot of writing. Martin says here, the language is hand in glove of culture, so it makes sense that English is a Western cultured language. And Susan sends a smiley face here. Saima, hi Saima. Good evening. I am late. Saima, it's always a pleasure to have you. We love having you here. So anytime you come is good. Susan says, indeed, instead of always writing their drafts using words, I will try letting my kids draw them out to plan their stories. Definitely. And Susan, great using the emoticons. I like it. Okay. So Ben, do you want to add something extra about storyboard that? And guys, by the way, if you've got any questions or if you have ideas on how you would use these apps, let us know in the comments below. And if you can, remember to like this. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to my channel and to Ben's channel, Be the Revolution. It's in the description below. And Bianca says also, I am late. Good evening. It's great. And Mrs. Sabula says, thanks, Ben, for that explanation. Okay, so Ben, storyboard that. Extra thoughts?
I think for the time being, actually, I'm going to let that one just sit aside for now because I know we are on a time limit, so I don't want to create a problem that way. But
yeah, we're only halfway now, and it's been so nice, having you here as always. And everyone, thank you for joining. I love having Ben on here. So I put the link to storyboard that in the description too. So I'm definitely going to use it for my classes for some of the assignments, and I'm sure the students will enjoy doing. Even if I'm just explaining something, or I'm going to ask them to do, like we said, a speech or some kind of role play. I'm going to use that storyboard to do that. Susan says, thanks, Ben. Okay, so Ben, you want to move on to the second website. That's the one you were talking about, the second one, right?
So the second one that I have found particularly helpful is called Flipgrid. Now, Flipgrid is a video-based program, a video-based app. And what this is if I want to give the students an assignment, and this is a way of extending the language outside of the classroom environment, okay? And that's key. That's a key component of this, extension of the language outside the classroom environment. And what Flipgrid does is it allows me to post a question, a key idea, and then I upload this to an LMS system. The students go in, they click on the link, they read the question, and then they take their phone and they record themselves commenting about the question that I have posted. Click send, it goes there, and I'm able to read it instantly because it pops up on my phone. Now, what this does is it allows me to do two things. First of all, I can ask a preparatory question before the class. I can get the student thinking about the topic before we get to the topic. The second thing is, the second way that I can use it is I can use it in class. I put a question up on the board, students get into groups of 2 or 3, they talk about what their answer is. Then they do like a selfie video where, they put their camera here and they got 3 people and, oh, hi, okay, this is us. And we're going to talk about blah, 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 blah. Send, and off it goes. And the third way that I can use that is to ask a follow-up question outside of the classroom. Say, by next Tuesday, I want you to give me an answer to this. And it's a follow-up question for something that we've done in class.
Yeah, so sorry, I just want to quickly, so this is basically a website where you connect to the students, you give them a question, and they can film their responses, and you can use it for homework, or you can use it during class for the students to do it. One thing I want to quickly, I just thought about this, is, and I see Martin also, he said one more website he'd recommend is called Padlet. It's for teachers. We'll look into that in a bit. Martin, you know Padlet, by the way? Ben?
I gotta say that I have only dabbled minorly in it. I've not spent a lot of time on it, but I do know that Padlet has a very, very good platform, and I would highly recommend looking at that one as well.
Yeah, what I want to remind the audience is that you know, when online teaching happened, it was very difficult for many teachers. You know, there was a lot of resistance. A lot of them said, "No, I can't do this. Oh, it's awkward to be in front of the computer," and "Oh, you know, I'm not good with technology." All these excuses came up because of that resistance. What happened? They got over it. With every new technology and every new thing that comes out, people will resist it, but if it's good, they will get over it if it's necessary.
Yep.
The teachers have evolved. Students will do the same too.
Yep.
You know, students, when it first started coming out and we said, okay, you've got to videotape yourself, you've got to put on your video, or you've got to talk. The students were also resistant. They were also like, oh, you know, this is kind of weird. Even though they are a new generation, they're getting used to taking videos. Now they're getting used to speaking on camera, to video record themselves and send it in. So that's where I think something like Flipgrid, like you said, you ask them in their groups to videotape themselves. There will be resistance. A lot of them will say, oh, I'm sorry, teacher, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. Eventually, if it's useful and they can feel themselves learning and improving using this, they will do that too. So I just wanted to say that quickly.
Yeah. One follow-up to that, because that's a really good point. One of the things, I did have some resistance at the beginning, as you had mentioned, not with all of my students, mind you, only a handful, but they get over that pretty quick when they realize that their participation score is on the line. And then they're like, okay, we'll figure this out. And so that's, you know, that's one thing. But also they, you know, it's the idea of actually opening up to the language itself. It's not the tool. That's a smokescreen. Oh, I don't have data on my phone, or the Wi-Fi's not good, or these are excuses. These are smoke screens for the real issue of I don't want to speak English in any way or shape or form. And that's really what that is all about. And then, so I have a whole series of very quick answers that I can go back to them. Oh, you having Wi-Fi problems? No problem. I've got a big data plan. How about you connect to my data plan and you can do it yourself? Oh, I think I might be able to do it then. It's okay. As soon as you have an answer to shut down their excuses, they're off and running. They have no leg to stand on. So it's just, okay, I guess I got to do it.
You give them logical reasons, you know.
Exactly.
Here we go. You eliminate their excuses or whatever they could use. Yeah, I guess, you know, growth only happens, you know, if you're uncomfortable. And that's with anything, you know, if the first time you're going to drive or the first time, you know, you do anything, it's going to be like, oh, I'm kind of scared. It's difficult. But that's why I think these resources that you're sharing, you know, by the way, guys, I'm going to make a couple of videos in the future. I'm doing one on a word wall. Many of you have asked me for that. I've got a great idea for a new Zoom one, and also hidden objects. That's basically a website where students have to find hidden objects, and you can print. There are some books that you can print out, and it's very useful for younger learners to find the objects. It's good for vocabulary and stuff like that. I will make that video during the week and maybe release it in a few weeks. Okay, so we've got Galina here. And what about action bound? It's a very useful thing, action bound.
Action bound, sure. I've got to admit, I have no knowledge of that. However, Galina, I will say that, and I'm probably going to mispronounce your name, and I do apologize for that. But Saima did talk about Nearpod, and actually Nearpod is on the list of 4 that I was going to talk about today. But somebody decided to only pick 2.
Yeah, I was. Ben actually has 4 that he wanted to talk about, and I'm like, no, people are going to be asking questions. I wanna have a conversation, not a lecture. But now I see that many of many of you actually enjoy it. So who am I to stand in the way of a good time? So Saima, Ben, can you tell us about Neopod if it's possible?
Well, actually, I don't want to go into that too much today, because what I find is that these apps, as you begin to use one and then you shift to another and you try several different ones at the same time, you find that there is very much a common, there are common threads that work through all of these apps. And so really what you need to do for yourself as an educator is pick the one that you feel the most comfortable with. That's the first one. And secondly, which one do you think will be most appropriate for your learner level? Okay. Now, for me, the reason why I picked Flipgrid was because I thought it was the easiest for them to navigate in English without having to worry about a translation in the app. And that's why I did that. It's very, very user-friendly, big green button. I mean, how can you miss a big green button to start your video? So that's one of the reasons why I'd actually steered toward those two, Storybook that and Flipgrid.
Yeah, I think what I want to say about that is, you know, we can quickly fall into the trap of using too many apps. You know,
Yes.
we've still got to teach a lesson and you know, engage the students, let them do everything. But if we spread ourselves too thin, you know, it's not going to. So you've got to find out what's the most valuable. Focus on those, and you know, or whatever you feel more comfortable with or you think might be useful for you. So yeah, definitely find those. And that's why, you know, there are so many tools out there, and I like to cover them. If I think I would use it, then I share it, you know. So yeah, definitely.
Well, Parveen says that she had downloaded Padlet but didn't quite understand. Well, to me, that's a shot across the bow. So what I'm going to do, Parveen, I'm going to do a video for you on my channel. So I'm going to write your name down on my little notebook right here, and I'm going to give you a shout out in my video. And I'll link that over to Eric's website so that he can check that out. And I hope I'm not stealing your thunder there, bud, by doing that.
Yeah, make that video, and I'll add the link on the community page. I'll put a post up on it. Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, check out Ben's channel. Right now, it's called Be.the.revolution. It's but
that name's going to change, though. That name's going to change.
Yeah, we'll see. But subscribe to his channel. He makes a lot of good videos, and yeah. And Parveen, that one's just for you, so you definitely have to go there.
Yeah.
Personalized
service. Don't you love it? Don't you love it?
Well, you know, it's I'm so thankful to my viewers that they always give me ideas. They like Saima, for example. My last video I did for her because she asked me a question, and I was like, okay, let's make a video on it. And I really enjoyed that. Parveen said, thank you very much, Ben. And Saima says, I felt Padlet is a bit harder, isn't it? I don't mind learning it. Well, I'm out of my depth on this. I don't know Padlet at all. So that's up to you, Ben, to do something.
I do feel like it takes a little bit more kind of in the background as an educator. It takes a little bit more finagling.
I don't think I've used it. So can you tell me what it does?
See, that's the hard part too.
Well, what is that Einstein quote? If you can't explain something to a 5-year-old, you know.
Bother. So are you the 5-year-old? Is
I'm the 5-year-old? But no, I mean, so with that, for example, is it's scary if you tell me that it's difficult to explain what it is, not because of your ability to explain, but actually the app that it sounds difficult to understand. You know,
it's a way of let's just say it's a way of organizing a student life online. It's a way of giving the student a space they can create their own kind of online journal, maybe throughout a semester. They can upload their own videos, pictures, other things, and they have a space for themselves that is dedicated to the class that you are instructing. And so there are things that you will give them as assignments, and they will respond back in very similar way to Flipgrid. There are things that they can do where they are interacting with other students in the Padlet class. So there's that as well. Those are just two things that Padlet can do. But it's a combination, I feel, of an LMS program plus Nearpad. Like or Nearpod. It's kind of puts two of those things together. The reason why I didn't use it is for you and I, we have our own built-in university LMS. Right. And I felt like Padlet was a way of doubling the work that we were doing. And I thought, if I have to post the same video here and here and here and here, that's a waste of my time.
Yeah. Also so for students.
And for
students, I think the main thing with technology or with teaching, is to make it simple for the students. Like 5-year-olds, so you got to make it easy for them. And if you give them too many things to do or places to go, or it's going to be confusing and they're not going to want to do it. What we want to do as educators is whatever we're teaching them, we want to make it simple, easy for them to understand and to build off of that. Yeah. Right. Guys, if you have any questions for Ben, we've got 15 minutes left. So you can ask us anything about teaching and we'll try and answer. And also make sure to like this video if you haven't yet. Okay. Ben. Yeah.
What I was gonna just make a general comment about my website, specifically about the YouTube channel. There's actually two aspects to the channel, and it's kind of a work in progress, to be quite honest. So half of the channel is dedicated to English language teaching, and the other half of the channel is actually dedicated to Star Wars: The Old Republic, which is a game that I play, and I'm a guild leader there, and I have a bunch of friends that I play with, and I put up instructional videos there as well. So if you do go to the channel and you see a whole bunch of game stuff, that's why, because I use the same channel to do the same thing, to do multiple things.
Okay, yeah. So guys, if you go to Ben's channel, he's done a few things. So he's got the two niches. Well, actually, this is something that Martin was speaking about. He said, well, it's very useful for teachers to show off their skills. And a lot of our viewers have done it too, where they record themselves teaching and they put it out. Like Migam has done it before, and some of the other teachers have showed me some of their videos that they do for online teaching, right? So YouTube is another medium for us to show how we teach. If you are a dancer, you can go to people and say, oh, I'm a fantastic dancer. They're like, really? Show me. And then it's like, oh,
it's right there.
There you go. And now for teachers, more and more teachers are going to be able to say, okay, well, because you go for an interview, they're like, well, they ask you all of these questions. In the future, they might say, well, show us a video of you teaching. And it's like, okay, well, here we go. This is what I've got, and that's a great thing. So with YouTube, Martin made a video about it yesterday. You guys can check him out at Experiences. And he said basically, so you've got to niche down, because how the YouTube algorithm works is it takes your videos and it tries to give it to different people, and if they respond to it, they will give it to similar people that have a similar criteria. So if you you have to niche down to find your audience, and that's why channels slowly grow, because YouTube can find people that want to see your video. I'm going to actually, so by the way, I'm just gonna put this in there. Currently, I'm working on a 100 video series that is more for English learners. And I'm doing this so that I've got enough content for 1 year, because I want to start working on special projects for everyone. I need the time to study and read and prepare those special projects. So I'm going to, in the next, in a couple of months, you'll only be seeing one series of videos, because I'm busy working on some other things behind the site. Yeah. So here we've got a question here by Joe. Ben, any idea to make primary students enjoy our reading class?
Yes, I do. That is not a difficult question at all, because I spent a lot of years here in Korea actually teaching elementary school students, and some classes were better than others, but one of the things I found doing that actually made them laugh is modeling. And what I mean by that is I took the approach that in an English classroom for elementary school students, my English instruction is about 20%, and my acting skills were about 80%. Now, I've got a little drama underneath my belt from high school, so I was able to draw on that. But when you create activity in your body, when you are reading, it brings out them in a way that otherwise it wouldn't. If there's a particular word that you know is going to be in, for example, in the reading, and it's going to be in the reading 10 times, you have an action that the students have to do when that word comes up. Let's say the word is Friday, and every time Friday comes up, the students have to do this, or they have to do some kind of action. And that TPR, total physical response, allows them to physically connect to the reading in a way that is totally and completely different from simply just reading the text, because they have to listen for the word. They don't even know. They don't even know that they're learning. That's the great thing. They don't even know that they're learning. And if you're up in front of the classroom and you're reading the textbook, it was a very gray, sunny day. It was rainy outside. Boo hoo. You know what? Kids are going to fall asleep in 30 seconds. What are you doing? So what you need to do is you need to bring your own physicality into the classroom that then turns on their physicality in the classroom. And that will help them immensely with their reading. Even if they're unsure of their reading, they're suddenly going to realize, oh my God, reading is so fun because my teacher's crazy in front of the classroom and he's doing all of this stuff. And wow, that's what you want.
Yeah, bringing energy to the classroom. I think Martin sent me this video of, maybe you've seen it. It's a Chinese teacher psyching himself up before going into the class. I'm not 100% convinced that it's not staged, so I'm not sure. But it is something where if you want someone to feel a certain emotion, create that within yourself.
Yes,
and
exactly.
A lot of teachers, once again, would say, oh, you know what, that's just not my being active and full of energy isn't my personality. That's fine, but I think when you work with young students, you've got to bring a love for your language to it, and you can make it fun. I really like your idea of TPR, of doing a movement for a certain word that promotes active listening, which is great. I think I said something similar. You've got to act things out. When you teach young students, especially primary school or even younger, kindergarten, you're going to when you teach them new vocabulary, like bear, you're going to do like bear, or like dog, and all the kids go like this. D is for dog, woof woof woof, whatever that might be. So definitely bringing that in is good. Yeah. And like you said, bring an energy, make it interesting to your students. So they say you're not an actor, but being a teacher, at that young age, you've got to entertain them. Yeah, you're not gonna. It's not the same when you've got high school students, but you also have to bring an energy. Okay, so we've got Letitia. We've got a couple of questions coming in. Susan says that's a great idea. And what is more preferable, reading out loud or silent reading? I guess that depends on what you want the students to learn. Reading out loud is way better because you're going to hear the students read. But if you just want them to read for information or something, then I think silent reading is better. What do you think?
Reading out loud is, I would say reading out loud is preferable. And the reason is the students can hear themselves.
Yeah.
It's very, very important for them to train their ear to the language. And when they are reading out loud, they're able to hear that. You can read in a small group, 3-4 students together in a circle. Each student hits one sentence at a time, and you go around the circle and you keep reading until the story is over. And by doing that, they're able to listen to other people's reading, other people's speaking. Pronunciation, but they're also able to hear their own. And it's student-led. That's the thing. You're giving them the power over the word, and that is so important for sure.
Yeah, it depends on the level, but with my classes, always if in our textbooks, they've got dialogues or conversations that we read, and I always say you two are partners, quickly read for us. If it's very long, I say, okay, you do the first 2 lines, second 2. So yeah, definitely giving them a job in the classroom that they know they can do. The students also like reading it. Okay, we've got 2 more here. Mrs. Abiola says, I will watch all of them. Thank you, Mrs. Abiola. And my dad says the most spoken languages, it's English with probably 1 million speakers. Okay, and then 40%, okay, and Mandarin is just below that, and then Spanish and Arabic, Hindi and Arabic. We've got 2 tough questions here that I'm going for now, but we've got great ones here. Elsa says amazing tips. Saima, I'll get to yours here. Martin says, I had a project last year with my group where they had to read a book, present about it, and share their opinions. Yeah, that's what a lot of us do. And what I would add to that is, if it's a book, if it's a storybook, it's nice to get the students to read maybe their favorite part from the book, or if you do it chapter by chapter, let some of the students read some parts from the chapter. We've got 2 questions here that I want to look at. The first one, I think, this first one. What kind of games can I play with one 5-year-old with online classes? Letitia, I did a whole video on. It's called what is it called? Bamboozle. I'll leave the link for you. There are lots of games that you can use for that. And I'm also going to do a video about word wall. If you haven't seen word wall, it's also a really fun way to do a game to play with vocabulary. I'm going to share that. And this Tuesday, my video that I'm releasing is 10 vocabulary games that you can use. And then, so Letitia, yeah, I'm going to link that video for you now. It's called Bamboozle, fantastic site. If it's online, you'll enjoy it. Yeah. And then Bianca has another one, and I'll share this one with you. What do you think the best what's the best icebreaker for teenagers? Because sometimes it's difficult to get their attention and make them notice you. Yeah, Bianca, I really understand that when you go into a class and it's really difficult, you struggle to get the students' attention, they're loud, or maybe they're not listening or responding. So, Ben, do you have any advice for her? It doesn't necessarily have to be an icebreaker, but how can she get the students' attention at the start and, control the class, to make them focus on her?
The first thing that I would say is that you have to do the same thing at the beginning of the class every day. Every day. If you teach them 365 days a year, you have the first 5 minutes exactly the same, essentially from one day to the next. The reason is it provides consistency, and the students are very kind of, their filters are on for consistency, even though you don't think it is. They need that kind of structure. And so when you as a teacher can give them that structure for the first few minutes of class, they will be engaged because they will know what to expect. This is especially important with younger kids, but also with elementary school or with middle school students, because their attitude is, oh, I'm too cool. I don't want to do that, right? But the thing is that, see, there's my acting skills coming to you. But the thing is that once you start doing the same thing over again and you're demonstrating consistency, that will begin to trickle over. So that's the first thing that I would do. The second thing that I would do is I would, let's say, I would have certain things up on the board that I would review with them every day in the classroom in order to reinforce certain things, date, time, etc. And I would also pick 2 or 3 songs that you are going to sing with the students. And by sing, I mean you as a teacher are going to sing. And you're probably going to sing alone, and you're probably going to look crazy. But you know what? Deep down, the students are having a blast. And they're not going to show you, but they will. Eventually, they'll start singing too. Now, the reason why you want to do that is because it goes back to that TPR thing I was talking about a couple minutes ago. When you're up there giving 120% singing YMCA out of tune, oh my God, they will love it. They will eat it up. You have no idea. They might not show emotion, but man, I can tell you it does work because I've taught middle school students. I've done stuff like that, and that they do behave very much like that. But they love it.
I'm going to disagree. There's no way you're getting me to sing in front of the class. There are lots of things I will do or won't do. That's one of the things I draw a line. I'm like, and the student will leave school. They'll be like, yeah, this is not what I signed up for. Okay, but I like
totally,
your point.
Totally wrong, though. You're totally wrong. It does work. Trust me, it does work.
I like your point about being consistent in class. You know, I recently read a comment where it said the 10-2 rule. So basically, this teacher, he said, you know, you want to create relationships with your students, and for the first 2 minutes when they come into class, you can ask them questions and engage them. So I think, you know, I'm actually, the series I'm working on, the reason I need this here is actually, you know, it's classroom management. And I think one of the important things is as soon as those students walk into your classroom, you know, they're in your territory. So you're going to start by asking them questions. How are you doing? What did you do last weekend? What are you going to do next weekend? You know, what do you think about that event? So as the students come in, you're going to engage them. When you start class, start by, like Ben said, you know, always have a consistency to how the lesson goes, because students like that. So you can tell them a story or an icebreaker. There are lots of games. I made a whole series on 50 games you can play with them that are fun, icebreaking games. So check out, I'll leave that link there too. So it's not just about playing games with the students, but it's about engaging them. What? Time's up.
Oh, no.
What? Okay, let's go a little bit longer because it's so much fun having you here. Let's quickly go through this. So, yeah, Ben, is there anything else you wanted to add, you know, before we end? I think we'll end in a little bit. I'll give us a couple minutes more because it's so much fun having you here.
It's always a pleasure. And I can talk forever and ever, so that's fine.
Yes, Mrs. Abiola, she's laughing. And Saiba says, I'm too shy in front of my parents. And Mrs. Abiola says, I sing alone. Saiba laughs. Sometime I feel like a crazy woman. Mrs. Abiola, I bet you're not. You've probably, I've heard your voice, Mrs. Abiola. Mrs. Abiola also started putting out videos on YouTube of her teaching. Mrs. Abiola, that was so good. I really enjoyed it. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, she's also putting out videos of her like teaching about weather I saw last time. But you've got a great voice, Mrs. Abiola. Anna says, Eric and Ben, thank you for a very informative live stream. So interesting. Have a wonderful week. Anna, you're always welcome.
Anna. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thanks. And Martin says, any final tips for people moving abroad? So actually, I think let's finish it with this final question by Martin, because Martin, I saw that you're considering coming to Korea to work at a university. So this is not just about teaching, this is about traveling. So Ben, do you have any tips for Martin? We've been here a while, but actually a little bit about Martin. He's lived in Korea before, but I guess this is, to bring his family and moving abroad to Korea.
Right. Okay.
What do you think?
First of all, I would say absolutely go for it. The second thing I would say is it doesn't matter where you live. You're going to have good things and bad things. The real kicker is, can you deal with the bad things? Because if you can't, you need to find another place. If you can deal with them, or you can manage them in a way where they don't bother you, then stick around. I would also recommend, if you're coming to a place, don't come for a year or two. In order to understand the place you live, you have to be here for a while. When I arrived in 2005 in Korea, I had, talked with people who had been here for 10, 12 years at that point. And I was thinking, how do you do it? I'd only been in the country for 3 weeks. It totally blew me away. But now that I've been here for 15 years, 16 years almost now, I realized that the longer I've been here, the more I understand about what's going on, and the more I understand about myself in relation to the world around me. And you can't get that in a 6-month or 12-month stint. Nothing's going to stick. You're not going to learn anything about who you are as a person when you are moving around too quickly. You got to have some roots, and I think that's really important.
Right, a very good tip. I like that about planning on staying for longer, because Martin, his wife is Korean, so it will be a lot easier for him to translate.
Mine too.
2 Korean wives and none for me. But so
Martin, I will say that if you are planning a move, send me a message, and I'll help you out. I'll help you out as best I can with the move. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ben. Thanks so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure. You gave us such good ideas that we can use. I know it looks like my viewers really enjoyed it. Guys, go check out his channel too. He'll post some really good tips and ideas, especially when it comes to technology and websites. Ben, final words for you.
My final word is thank you so much. You've been a great audience today, and I really appreciate it. I hope I will be able to come back in the next few months and give you an update to all of the stuff that I've been doing. Awesome. Well done. Thank you for all of you out there who are teachers. You guys are on the front line of the new future. So keep it up, man. You can do it. Absolutely. You can do it. I believe in you 100%.
Thank you so much. Everyone, have a fantastic week, and I will see you next week. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Ben. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Take care.